Assalamualaikum Nazreen, this is Rana Abdullah Hamad from the platform from World Times International, and today we are here with a special report. We are here with few faces who made Pakistan proud. And सिर्फ पाकिस्तान के अंदर ही नहीं उन्होंने कोई एक बहुत बड़ा काम कर लिया, but internationally these 6 students, they went on a mission to make Pakistan proud and present Pakistan's positive image. And इस सब के अंदर उन्होंने क्या सीखा और किस तरीके से हार्वर्ड मन के अंदर गए, एंड देन द होल एक्सपीरियंस. वी ओवर हियर हैव Mahnoor, Gul, Anas and Suhaima. Assalamu guys, how are you?
Very good, how are you?
Perfectly fine. So starting off, हमारी audience के लिए if you could tell a little के what is Model United Nations and then the significance of Harvard Man.
So, Model United Nations is essentially like this simulation of the United Nations, right? Doesn't get then it's in the name. It's a group of people who get together. You discuss a certain topic with a certain scope of debate that you're given, and you come up with different ideas. You pitch the idea to the sort of committee, and depending on how well you're able to get people to agree with you or like vote for your solution or pitch your solution to the rest of the room and basically become like part of your group or your block, right? You're judged. And towards like, it's not like there's a round-based system where you know by the first round whether or not you're qualified or not. It's 4 or 5 days of just intensive debate, after which you get to know, okay, like how far did you get? And then there's like the award part of it. But it's been something that that I've been doing for an embarrassingly long amount of time now. But
if you could quote some years, how many years?
Around like 7.
Okay.
And then when I joined LUMS, it was solely because I thought that now I've been doing it for so long, might as well do it to also represent Pakistan, right? And so the collegiate circle now looks at it very differently, where it's your ideas need to be very realistic and implementable. And then based on the quality of them, do you get judged on it? So, yeah.
परफेक्ट. अनिस, कराची से निकल के आप लम्स आ गए, उसके बाद भी आपका डिबेट्स करने का, मन करने का शौक दिल से नहीं निकला. हुआ है
बेसिकली मैं शायद ये कहूँगा कि कराची के अंदर भी while I wasn't part of the debate circle or the MUN circle within Karachi, तो लाहौर सर्किट होता है, कराची सर्किट होता है, इस्लामाबाद सर्किट होता है, and they each had their own individual conferences, और फिर साल के एंड में जाके LUMUN has its own nationwide which is supposed to be the best conference. तो मैंने उसमें अप्लाई किया था, and I think I got rejected twice from my own school's MUN team. तो right in the face. 2 years in a row. So after that मैंने सोचा था यार MUNs are not for me. Even though I had that speaking ability, वो जो था ना, I did not know the sport itself, because I didn't know how you're meant to play the game, what are the criteria that they're looking for, what a chair is looking for within your committee. तो उस वजह से I was never able to perform towards my full extent. फिर when I came to LUMS, I had heard of LUMUN before, and it wasn't really on my mind as much, लेकिन especially considering the fact once LUMS had made and LUMUN had made a name for itself, winning 2 years back to back at Harvard. तो I had seen those photos, my parents had seen those photos, my friends, my siblings, ठीक है. तो उसके अंदर से there was like this small seed planted in the back of my head कि यार हार्वर्ड जाके एक ऐसी तस्वीर खिंचवानी.
तो ऐसे किसी कॉलेज ट्रिप पे जाके
बट उसका ज़्यादा बस ऐसी it was a bigger thing in my mind to think कि यार you're representing your school, your country, and also in the back of my hand KGS ने reject कर दिया था, तो यार अब LUMS आके हार्वर्ड चलेगा, क्या ही बात होगी.
Right. Full circle moment. Why would you choose something like MUN? Why debates? What intrigues you?
Sound kind of crazy, but I love the pressure of it. You put me in a pressure cooker and see how I respond honestly, because the trials themselves, basically to make it to the team, there is an extensive process there. For the traveling team, we have trials for which this year we had over 100 applicants who signed up to come to trials. And I had no intention, I didn't even tell my dad that I was applying for the team. So I went in that room and it was crazy. Everybody was at their best game. And I was like, okay, so how do I compete with this? So the best response would be, I really enjoy the environment that it puts me in the headspace that I get in to work as hard as I physically can to prove something or to get something out of it, especially when the scale is as big as, representing Pakistan. So yeah.
Manu, went into the training for Harvard, man? And being the team captain, definitely there was a lot of onus on your head. And how did you motivate the team?
So I think the training process honestly began before they were all on the team. Like I individually spent time with so many different people that were applying for the team just to see like the potential within them. And we spent a lot of time together. As a society, we're very close-knit. We go on trips together, we had dinners together. So I knew that these guys were all smart. And I just knew that they needed a little bit of a push. So we did a 14 session long before trials training session, where it was open to all of LUMS, and you just come and you tell me what your biggest issues are and we solve them. After that, we had our trials, we had hour-long interviews per applicant, and then when the teams were made, we do like 5 hours a day, so, and almost daily. And you're not allowed to like back out of these things because once
you're in, then you're in.
So this is also why, like, you know, the interview process and the sort of trials process is so elongated, so that you have the ability to back out before you're confirmed. And on many occasions we tell them that like this is not for like the faint of heart. This is a very demanding process. Your academics get put to the side for a little bit. Your personal life gets put to the side because you're sitting there, and this was what we did in our first session, where we all just sat in a room. It was a very tiny room on purpose, so that we can all just talk about why we wanted to be on this team so bad and what's motivating us. And then once that conversation was done and you had your personal motivations, like मुझे इस team ने मुझे reject कर दिया था, या फिर like I wanted to do it because this was the first time a woman was running the Harvard team. Like in 21 years, this was the first time. So in my head, like this was a win for women and I couldn't lose. And so we had that very open and honest discussion about what we wanted to do with this opportunity that we've been given, that honestly not a lot of people in. We're like 1% of
yeah.
it. Of
Less than 1%.
Less than 1% of the entire school. And I think uske baad, like once that conversation is done, everyone's ready to win. And it's like we maintain a very strong friendship, and because of that there's this loyalty that the team doesn't back out of things, and we stick through it regardless of like how bad committee sessions might be going, whether or not we think we're winning or losing, we stick through it because that's just what we signed up for.
Perfect. So what makes you go through the 5-hour long training sessions? जब वो हो रहे होते थे, उससे पहले वाला सारा होता था, and then you know कि अब आप बाहर नहीं निकल सकते. So what went into Suhaima's mind?
Actually, I've known Mahnoor girl for over like 2-3 years now, and she coached me when she herself was an A-level student, and now when she's in university. So I've seen her come a long way. And the first time I came to LUMUN orientation, I was like, there's no way I'm going to trials. I'm not going to America. Who goes even that far? That's such a stupid concept. But then this one time I had this conversation with her, and you should even try it out, you know? What if you just like it? And then just the people of the team, and I think the culture of it is so important. And that is what motivated me to keep moving forward. And the 5-hour training sessions were only possible because the people were worth, you know, sitting 5 hours with. So yeah, that's for sure the reason.
It's a दरम्यान में से कहीं पे निकल जाती है. So we are definitely going to come to that part too. But so Anas, were your studies affected? Were your, you know, आपका कोई किसी अब प्रोफेसर के साथ आपका वो आपने उसको एप्लीकेशन लिख के भेजी हो कि यार I'm going for training, I'm going for sessions, मुझे लीव लगा दें, and they rejected that?
रिजेक्ट नहीं हुआ था. बेसिकली ट्रेनिंग सेशंस के लिए हमें कोई लीव नहीं मिलती थी. तो ट्रेनिंग सेशंस के लिए यू जस्ट हैव टू एंड अप मिसिंग क्लास. बट क्या कहते हैं, व्हेन वी वर एक्चुअली लीविंग फॉर द कॉन्फ्रेंस, देन द एंटायर टीम गेट्स देयर पिटिशन एक्सेप्टेड, एंड यू नो वो कभी रिजेक्ट होता नहीं है क्योंकि you're going on such a big international stage and you're sacrificing your studies, you're sacrificing your academic career for this something else, and it's a Hail Mary shot, right? This is something that Rohail, our previous team's captain, he came in once to one of our training sessions during one of our second last training session, and this is something I still remember that he said all of the work that we put in, 5 hours every day, all this work every day.
So Anas, what kept you motivated to stay for those sessions? And कौन सी ऐसी दिल में चाह थी जो आपको वहाँ पे जिसने जोड़ के रखा?
At least in my mind, the reason I stayed for those training sessions was one, they were pretty fun actually. हम उनको training sessions कहते हैं लेकिन training sessions के अंदर if I can reveal this information, the majority of it was just like
Anything that you say from going forward is not going to be
can
edited.
be held against you.
No. It won't be edited.
But they were basically it was all about building chemistry within the team. One thing that Mahnoor had told us from beforehand was especially double dells. मतलब कि दो लोग जब एक साथ एक ही delegation के तौर पे कमेटी में जा रहे होते हैं. So one of the most important things is to know your double del, your partner, trust them, trust their judgment, and just know them inside and out. Be their best friend in that moment. क्योंकि उनसे भी गलतियाँ होंगी, आपसे भी गलतियाँ होंगी, and like you know कि इतना high pressure environment है कि आपसे कोई गलती हो गई, if you feel like that a word is slipping out of your hand, you don't know what anyone will say. कि in that moment कोई क्या कह देगा, क्या हो जाएगा. So you need to know this, your partner inside and out. So these training sessions, साथ में we were learning about what to do, what not to do. We would do mock simulations कि अगर ये बंदा आया और उसने ये कहा, how would you respond to it? How would you act? How do you get yourself into a position where you are the leader of your block, the leader of that committee? So that was also part of the training sessions. But at the same time, we're just building chemistry. We're learning about each other, ऐसे making jokes, stuff like that. So that it's a team that's going rather than just like 6 random people that were chosen.
Banu, keeping and knowing competitiveness of this competition and of MUN students specifically while you're going into Harvard MUN, how do you keep your sanity and how do you keep the team's sanity?
So this is a very interesting question because I initially had no answer to this. They would like get stressed out months before the conference even happened, and I knew that like there is a big step that you're taking when your team is primarily freshmen, and that is what my team was. It was mostly freshmen and sophomores because in my opinion they had the most amount of drive and talent to go. In my head there'd be all the seniors that were present in the room, so I didn't think twice about like the fact that they were not experienced enough. And then these worries started to actually set in where I was like, this is Anis's first ever conference, and like this is this person's struggle, and this is what this person's.
So Anis kept everyone on toes, basically.
No, yeah, but what sort of kept all of us, I think, sane was that within all of this stress, हमारा जो एक वो idea था ना कि as long as you're having fun and you're not hurting anyone in the process, and आप honestly जीत रहे हो, तो भाई हार भी गए तो कुछ नहीं होता. It's like losing is not the end of the world. And if you make winning like the most important thing, and like uske alawa you can't see anything else, for those 4 months all you think about is winning, you're not going to be left with much else when you come back, right? And that's where you lose your sanity. So for us it was, okay, fine, we're going to train for 5 hours a day, but then we're going to sit and we're going to have dinner together and we're going to become friends. And Anis was my double del for the conference, so we would spend hours like in committee and we would be working, but once we left that room, like we were friends again, and then we would have like our moments where we would just talk about things that had nothing to do with the conference, or we would go outside on a walk. Like right before the conference started, Suhaima and I went like shopping with Umema, and we were like, we're just not going to think about, weird enough, we were going shopping to buy something to wear at the conference. It wasn't like we disconnected at all, but for those like 45 minutes it was just focusing on who we are as people, and the fact that what we are getting to do is an opportunity. Yes, it is an opportunity that's not given to everyone, completely valid, that's fine. But agar aap isko in, like, for lack of better word, sar pe chadha doge, so then fine, you're going to win, you're going to be sitting with that gavel and you're going to think, okay, I made no memories, no one here is like my friend in this team. Everyone that I met at the conference, I just kept thinking about beating them, so I never became friends with any of them. So what did I actually walk out with?
Perfectly
right?
defined, I would say.
That
Perfectly
is where
defined.
I think your sanity would lose, and this is how I kept mine.
Perfect.
And then
listen, how did you kept your sanity, and किस तरीके से आप लेके चले?
I was done a huge favor when Mahnoor made me her double del, because knowing that having an experienced person who's won an OD before, who's gone twice before to Harvard and gone back twice with and brought back that best delegation. So knowing that I had Mahnoor in my corner with me in committee, it just made it just that much easier for me. Just a little bit easier to know that if at any moment I feel like just, how do I describe it? I feel that I don't know what to do. Okay, like hawa nikal gayi, like your heartbeat is just like racing and you don't know what to do. I had Mahnoor in my corner to say, okay, Mahnoor, give me 5 minutes, let me go get water, let me just take a breather, whatever, and she'll handle it in that moment. So for that reason, I think it was much easier for me going as a freshman than it would have been as someone who would go as a single del, at least in my opinion.
Perfect. And how did you keep your sanity? Was it the long walks with Mahnoor, or was it the water sessions, or ordering pizza?
I think the dynamics were quite different for me because I was single delegate. Mahnoor and Anas went together. And I feel like that at the end of the day, the committee that you were in was such a unique experience to you as a person that you could never truly, in your own words, translate it to anyone, no matter how close you were. So I did feel like there was a lot of weight of that. Also, like just dynamics wise, you work with a block of 20, 25 people, and out of that you get a panel, and the panel is like 4 people from that block who you're going to send up there to present the block, and like you have to fight tooth and nail for it, and it becomes a bit hard, and it does get to you. And there were days like the end of the 3rd day I came to Mahnoor and I said, I genuinely do not want to go to committee tomorrow. I physically can't. I feel like everybody hates me, and it just does not seem like it's worth it. She said, okay, go to sleep. The next day I wake up, she wakes me up and she says, आज पूरा दिन पड़ा है, आज तुम सब कुछ बदल सकती हो, just go. She made my hair that day. She said, तुमने ये कपड़े पहनने और तुम ऐसे जाओगे and you're just gonna go. So even though, and so did Umaima, and so did Laiba, and so did everybody else on the team. So even though I did not have them physically with me in committee, it was a great help just having all of these girls behind me, because that second day, I would not have gone. I would have given up. I would have been like, okay, this is not worth it anymore. Because it does get to you, like.
Yeah. But what I am getting is that Mahnoor was a very lenient captain. And this question is from both of you. Was she strict, or were there moments when she was strict and you remember those moments? Suhaima and then Anas.
She was just the right captain, honestly.
Just the right amount of strict.
Yeah, just the right amount of strict and just the right amount of lenient. Because if she was too strict, I would have bumped the day. I would have gone to Zara. I would have gone to H&M. But she was just the right amount, and so were the other girls on the team, because they said, "Say, you're going alone," and the weight of going alone was also quite heavy, because it did feel quite isolating and sad at times. But I'm so glad that I did, because the learning that I got out of it was unparalleled, and I don't think that I would have gotten it anywhere close. So yeah, I'm glad.
And Anas.
I think my answer is going to be just slightly different from that. In the Mahnoor, in my opinion, if at least because of the fact that she was my double dal as well, she was never that strict, at least against me. But at the same time, I knew that she was working day and night, tooth and nail, for everything that was leading up to that conference. And I knew, and in the back of my head, no matter how, because we're going in the same committee, we were like equals. But at the same time, outside of committee, I had like a huge amount of respect for Mahnoor as a person, for all the work that she does, for all that she does for the team, and like how she sacrificed everything just for us. For everyone, including Suhaima, when she had her moments, when Hubaib had his moments, when even in our committee, whenever we would have difficult moments where we feel like our award is just slipping out of our hands, she was that rock for everyone, for the entire team.
Yeah.
Perfect, being the rock of the team and everything, Mahnoor. You also got sponsors involved in all of your funding process towards the Harvard MUN. How difficult it is to attract, or how supportive, I would say, are the sponsors and, Pakistani community while they're supporting such MUNers?
Well, I would want to be really optimistic and say that, yeah, everyone is always down to support us.
But what is the real image?
The real image is that over the span of 3 years, I think I've seen an insane growth rate. Where when I was a freshman, so this is around 2022, there was no one that even bothered to say congratulations when we came back, and this was a very big shock to me, because we had come back after like 14 or 13 years of not winning something. And all I was expecting as a winner was for someone to say, wow, that was a big deal. And so I never thought of it as a very big deal, because no one ever treated it like that. And the second time around, sustainability of the team became a huge issue, because frankly enough, considering हमारे कितने visa issues होते हैं and funding issues होते हैं, there's a very small portion of even LUMS that were willing and able to go, right? And even them had there's a lot of financial constraints, there's a lot of effort that you have to do outside of just the actual conference. I say this to the team all the time, कि उनका, for our competitors, the biggest problem is winning the conference. For us, the biggest problem is getting to Boston. For us, genuinely, like half the conference has been won, in my opinion, if we land safe and sound in Boston.
Yeah.
You know, so when I talked about sustainability, the biggest problem was obviously like financial backing, and so we just started like cold calling like different companies, just seeing if anyone would pick
So
up.
was it only you, or were they
No.
all the members involved in this?
So it was a team effort, and our captain at that time, Rohil, he really went above and beyond to try and market the team. And when we came back, he was like, you know, it would be. He just said like on the plane that it would be like not on the plane. Sorry, I was on a different. He said like in the hotel, it would be so cool if you know, people took note of what is happening right now. And he said it would be so cool if people encouraged this sport, because we were at Harvard and we were taking the picture with the Pakistani flag, and this girl stopped us and she was like, oh my God, the Pakistani flag, it's been so long since I've seen it. And she starts talking to us in Urdu, and she was a Pakistani at Harvard. And she was like, man, I'm so happy to see that there's people from Pakistan that are still succeeding at something, you know, and you hear so many bad things every day.
Yeah.
Our world's not doing that great. Our country's, you know, suffering a lot. When you hear something good, it needs attention, right? And that sort of stuck with all of us, and we just said how nice would it be if we went back and people cared. And we came back and we were like this viral sensation, and like companies were calling us up, and like news agencies were calling us up. So this time around, a lot of it came very naturally, where we were at some point reached out by companies who said that, hey, like, you know, we don't even want anything in return, we just want to support you. And we've had incredible companies like Allied Bank, we've had Ignite, like just back us and say that you just go and win. Everything else is our problem. You know, like we've had Intelia genuinely just say that आपका मसला कभी होना ही नहीं चाहिए कि आप conference को तक पहुंचने का सोचो. Just focus on winning. And that took off so much pressure from, I think, all of our shoulders. That for the first, like, our biggest issue at that time then became the visas, because as Pakistanis, our problems never end. But like, itna bada like unne like weight utar diya tha shoulder se. I don't think I can say that, you know, we're not supported or like, and not be optimistic about the future. But I will say that this was a change that only came when we started winning. You know, and I don't think that like encouraging the youth in Pakistan should be contingent on whether or not we succeed. I think it should happen based on
Regardless
it
of
should happen
anything.
on regardless of how we're performing abroad. It shouldn't be that you have a 3-year win streak and then a company said that now you're worth it.
The support ended up coming after we'd already proven ourselves, not before. Which
Yeah.
is
After you spent all those sleepless nights for the past 3 years, you've put in all the hard work, and then you get the return of it. But definitely start Kyupari. Yeah.
Also the pressure, like I feel like nobody really recognized the nature of the sport. Like even us, before we had gone, before we had gone, Mahnoor had said this is how it will look like. We said yeah, sure, dekh lenge. वहाँ जाके देख ही लेंगे. But the first time I went into committee and the first day is going and I feel the heat and I'm like, oh, so this is what we were talking about. But it
So what is the heat that you're talking about? Just for our audiences understand.
okay, as a Pakistani girl, I will call it out for what it is. There was a lot of subtle just racism in the room. Like उनको लगता था we're from the slum of earth. हमारे पास गाड़ियाँ नहीं हैं. हम पता नहीं किसी यूनिवर्सिटी में किसी रैंडम यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ रहे हैं. And this is like
दादा गाड़ी पे
educated.
यूनिवर्सिटी जाते थे, वापस आते थे.
नहीं वो हमारे बाप जाते थे. Cousins बिल्कुल भी जाते थे.
But ये educated, ये Berkeley की girls हैं who just think that we live in some kind of slum, so they think that oh, so you're beneath us, right? So आपको तो अंग्रेजी भी नहीं आती. So they would just like the conversations that they would have, and the capital we just don't have that, and I really struggled with that, and I didn't know how to break that barrier. So that was a struggle that was quite intense for me.
So once you, Anas, went into Harvard, obviously there are different assumptions about Pakistan and people coming in from Pakistan. Did you cater to any, or did you find any individuals or people, or just the atmosphere of the room, which, you know, was presented in a negative manner?
I mean, for sure, when you first step into committee, you know about the fact that आप बिल्कुल ही अलग दुनिया में आ गए, right? Even the Karachi circuit, the Pakistan circuit, उसके अंदर maybe you have some common language, some common identity that you share. कि outside of committee you can talk about यार चलो बिरयानी खाने चलते हैं, whatever. You have मैच कौन जीता है? Very true. जब हम वहाँ पे कमेटी में थे, मुझे पाकिस्तान इंडिया का मैच चल रहा था. मैंने उसका जिक्र I was watching it on, well, not during committee, but during our breaks. I was following it. So क्या कहते हैं, but it was like amazing to me to know that this is something that all of my friends are super passionate about, that I'm super passionate about. लेकिन मैं किसी से बोलने पूछूं cricket, वो तो मकौड़ा होता है ना जो आवाज़ निकालते हैं, right? So it's an entirely different universe. And even though Suhaima's experience was different from ours, our committee, at least for me, I did not experience the racism as much, but you know there is a huge cultural divide. कि they are not from the same universe as you. उनकी दुनिया बिल्कुल ही अलग है, आपकी दुनिया बिल्कुल ही अलग है. जो social और cultural norms उनके लिए ठीक हैं और normal हैं, वो आपके लिए शायद बिल्कुल भी opposite हो, right? So in that sense, it's a huge cultural shock, and you just need to maneuver. You need to know how to survive in a situation where you are the odd person out. सब लोग सफ़ेद पहने और आप काला पहने, and you need to learn how to blend into that situation. तो उसके अंदर for some people it's really difficult, but alhamdulillah in our committee we were able to set ourselves and make ourselves known and have our identity be something that people respected while at the same time not belittling us. लोग कहते थे कि आप पाकिस्तान से हैं, you know, Pakistan this and that, I've never heard of your country, you're in the Middle East, right? Aren't you the ones that are being bombed by whatever, right? So we would just clear it up. At the same time, it's also sometimes a benefit. अगर वो नहीं जानते आपके बारे में कुछ भी, you can make up whatever identity you want. आप उनको जो मर्जी चाहे कहानी सुनाने, कह लें पता नहीं मेरे पता नहीं पहाड़ों क्यों. No, who's fact checking? Who's fact checking, right? So it's also a little bit of fun that Mahnoor and I used to have, just like making up stories. We have videos that we would make. We would teach them Urdu. हम उनको सिखाते थे, right? Some people, I walked into committee one day, Mahnoor was already there. तो मैं क्या कहते हैं, मैं थोड़ा देर से आया था. I walked in and I think Japan came up to me and said, Anas, I had a water cup in my hand. मैं उसमें पानी पी रहा था. She said, Anas, are you having pani? I was like, ये क्या है? So yeah, your double dare Mahnoor told me this is what you call it in your language. I was like, oh yeah, good job.
We have
So, Bayu, how did you take it?
We have this thing over there. It's called the International Bazaar.
Yeah.
It's where basically all countries, they get like their own little like stall to put up and like you showcase your culture. I had like pure maple from Canada. It was the best thing I've ever had. It was better than
Maple shots.
It was so good. And like the team from Peru brought chocolate and like someone brought like, so we were like, what do we do to like showcase? Because every year we go and the ideas are usually the same. Like we do mehendi over there. We set up like a little mehendi stall. We put like, regardless of like, and we take jewelry from Pakistan and we hand it out to everyone. Yeah, we wear like our
Farshi salwar.
Yeah, like
That's in fashion. That's in fashion.
you were talking about that. No, but we wear shalwar kameez, we put on like Pakistani music, and we genuinely just teach people about Pakistan. And this has happened to me twice, which is very strange. But people have come up to me and said that, oh my God, like, we're studying like Pathans, and I'm a Pathan. So then we sit with them and we just actually, there's a lot of ignorance, definitely a lot of ignorance. Like someone once said to me, like, I'm going to sound ignorant when I ask you this, but what does halal food even mean? Like, are you guys like vegetarian because like, this is like a religious problem that you can't eat meat? And then she was really shocked because she said, I saw you eat meat before. And I was like, yeah, that's halal, like I can eat that. And she was like, I'm so confused. But once you get on their level and you actually try to explain things to them, eventually samajh aate hain. Because in my freshman year, this girl was walking with me and I said something about how I'm really excited for Ramzan. And she said, oh, I know what Ramzan is. It's when you guys starve yourself for 1 month. And I started laughing and I was like, do you really think that we starve ourselves for 1 month and make it alive, like make it out alive? And she was like, yeah. And so then I was like, there's two ways around this. I can either laugh and she'll never learn, or I can actually talk to her. Right? So then we had like a conversation where I taught her what Ramadan was.
And was she able to understand it?
Yeah, she was really appreciative of it.
Okay, that's nice.
And I think that's something that, while there's all this blatant racism, there's people are really, really rude simply based on, the fact that we don't look the same.
But do you think that's changing over time?
It's changing.
Yeah, for sure. Because even at the international bazaar, like sure we were no longer in a competitive settings, people would come up to us, and by the way, I don't know how to put mehendi to save my life. I suck. They would come up to me and be like, can you please put this tattoo on me? I'd be like, yeah, sure. So I'm here trying out all my awful mehendi designs on these people, and they're so happy with it. I'm like, sahi hai. And ek churi. Each of them come, they take one churi. And they're like, wow, this is made from glass. That's so cool. I'm like, yeah, it's so expensive.
So obviously, if you're getting fascinated by the maple shots, they're going to get fascinated by
I was very impressed by the pure maple. They were just putting it from like, they had like
They had a jug, like a gallon jug of pure maple syrup.
Oh, so good. But they're very appreciative. हमने commit like
I'm already getting the water in my mouth. Because maple shot. But no, the Farsi Shalwar, I'm going to come back to it because you guys laughed and there was a secret laugh, I'm guessing, between like, so what is the thought behind
we
it?
were figuring out Eid clothes. in the car.
Okay. So is it going to be the Farsi Shalwar for you guys?
I think Mahnoor should wear Farsi shalwar for her Eid test.
And then आपके लिए.
My kapde then.
Getting Anas to like, like this is like a story that I do want to share because
Yes,
I was
I don't think I want the story shared now.
No, please.
or like our team would be like rushing in the morning because हम लोग 6 लोग थे like, and especially for the girls like हम लोग 4 लोग थे एक कमरे में, right? So and my way of looking at it was I was refusing to leave until every single member of my team had left
Was
and had
being the
eaten.
captain and
They'd
the head
eaten
of the
something, they left, they were ready for the conference. I refused to leave the room. And what that meant was I was just doing everyone's chores. So Suhaima said that I did her hair. That was not it. I also ironed all of Anas, Umaima, Laba, Hubeb, like all their clothes. Like subah ko there would be a pile
Including
of
yourselves.
like, yeah, even mine. Like
Pile.
it was quite literally a pile of like, then ek steam karne ka pile hota tha mere liye. Because everyone was so preoccupied, quite frankly, with like preparing for the conference that.
So were you not going to prepare for the
No,
conference?
I would
That is
prepare.
why-
She was in my committee. She's in our committee doing MUN while at the same time being our captain, making sure we're all fed, sleeping at time, ironing the clothes, making sure that someone
Getting the sponsors.
getting the sponsors, getting the tickets,
Getting the visas.
getting the visas.
You're making me sound like Superman, which is not true. I had a
Even
lot.
beyond.
The thing is, like, our team doesn't function on just like a one-person basis.
Yeah.
It would collapse if it was one person. It's built on, we have this concept of like returning speakers. So before I was a captain, I was a returning speaker. It's someone who's been to the conference and is coming back to the team with a new perspective to offer. So we had 3 returning speakers this time, Laiba, Umaima, and Zubeb, including me, but excluding me, we had 3 more. So these guys also took up the mantle of like, if there was ever something where I was preoccupied, they knew they were around because they've been to this before, they've done the trip before, so they know कि okay, इस time पे ऐसा कुछ करना है. They know कि okay, it's like it's 5 minutes left to committee session like being over. It's time to check in on everyone and tell them where to come next. Yeah. If I'm busy with like committee, they all know कि okay, कमरे जाके we have to order something to eat. We have to prepare for the next day. Someone's going to have to debrief about everything that's happened and then that day. So I don't think like that it definitely wasn't just me. I think my biggest support in some ways were like Laiba, Hubeb and Umaima because like they'd experienced what I was going through before. And then it was like without these two, like I don't think I would be, like you said, not sane. How are you sane? I had these two. Like every time, and I thought about this a lot when I was like putting myself up as Anas's partner. I was like, I need someone in that room who like is so brand new to all of this, that like brand new to the conference, that they want to fight for an award and I want to fight for their award, because at a certain point you think, okay, this is my 3rd time coming, you might get overconfident, you might get, you might think that this is going to be the same as last time. So that's sort of...
So we've seen from the past 3 years, LUMS is winning. And at the same time, we also see the public universities here in Pakistan not doing that well. What else can be done in the public university and education sector in order to promote the money culture, the debating culture? So what do you think, Suhaima, starting?
I think that Mahnoor taught us about this as well, that there are certain countries that send a delegation. Like it's not a university, it's actually a country that's sending. So the United Netherlands, they bring together the best talent of their country and then they send those people. So I know it would be too much to ask from the Pakistani government to come together and bring us the best of the country and then send us. But I would also see a reason for them to work towards acknowledging what we do. And I do see an effort towards it, and I would like to see it furthered. But there's a lot of room for growth and there's a lot of room for improvement, especially within LUMS and especially within Pakistan. So I do think that's...
But in NS?
I think in my opinion, it shouldn't, what something that's really actionable that we can do is, like, we know that there are other students of the same age as us, right? They grew up in the same city as us, same neighborhood, same everything. Why does it matter if they're at a public sector university and we're at LUMS, for example? Why can't they come to us and we go to them and we share our experiences? We tell them what we've learned through all our mistakes and trials and tribulations, and they ask us what they want to know, and we can share our experiences. And I'm quoting last year's captain Rohel, where he said that Pakistani speakers are best in the world. Yeah. They have this ability to command attention within a room that seldom few other countries, let alone people, have, right? So, and that is something that's very, very, very prevalent amongst all of us, just because of the way that we're brought up. So why should it matter if someone is attending a public sector university or a private university? If they have that talent within them, all they need is just that final sharpening, honing, that just that little, like Mahnoor called it, that final push that pushes them over the edge. And we've proven that Pakistan has this talent. So all we now need is just to promulgate it towards and make sure that now, rather than Pakistan winning best small delegation, why not go best large delegation? If we've been winning 3 years in a row, why not 13 years in a row, right? So we know we have this talent, we just need to build on top of it.
Perfectly explained. Mahnoor, what do you think?
I also think that, so 3 years on the team, by this point, like, I know there's a lot that I want to be giving back to, like, Pakistan, right? And this is something that, like, I picked up from Ruhail, which was, he started this business called Master Orator, where he basically teaches people how to public speak, because it's not a very common thing within people.
Like, everyone can do it, but it is required for everyone to do it at some point
in their life. And it's a very anxiety-inducing, stress-inducing situation, speaking in front of 200, 300 people. So what we did as the LUMUN Society was we started this initiative called the LUMUN Orator, where we basically, it costs like literally almost nothing. And you come, it's a 3-day, 2-day workshop where we just sit with you and we teach you how to do public speaking. It's not even MUN or competitive speaking. It's just, you have a job interview coming up, we will teach you how to get through it. You have a presentation coming up, we will teach you how to get through it. Because it's a very rare skill these days, because everything is, especially ever since COVID hit, like
definitely.
Like interaction stopped, right? So you have no experience public speaking, and then you're just expected to know how to do all of these things, right? So then what actually is the purpose of us going, and what is the purpose of us winning if we're not willing to sit down and work with the Pakistani community, right? So our event is coming up, it's happening in April, hopefully, and we're literally looking for like people just to come and tell us that this is what we want to learn. And I'm personally also taking part in it. These two are also where we're hosting like...
But I would personally agree more with what Suhaima said, the government...
That the government should also...
Yeah, because that is something where everything, is decided in a...
Yeah, but that's such a large scale thing that it almost seems slightly impossible, right? It's too good to be true.
But manifestation
is actionable that we can do tomorrow or today.
This is us taking ownership of Pakistan, right? How long are you going to rely on like a group of people to say, jab government karegi, tab we'll reap the benefits of something like that. Do it yourself. If you have the capacity to sit people down in a room and say, dekho, aise public speaking karte hain, go get, like this is how you're going to ace that job interview. Do it. If you can benefit someone as one individual, agar aap ek bande ki aisi zindagi change kar sakte ho, I think that's all the more worth it. I think that has twice or thrice the more utility to me or value to me than winning this best delegation. Like, it genuinely, like that.
You can just look at the example of Arshad Nadeem. What we can do, the raw talent that Pakistan has is unmatched. And it's not using this excuse that we should be waiting on someone else to come and fund us or give us that first push.
Yeah, Arshad Nadeem was funded by the Punjab government. I mean, कुछ ना पंजाब गवर्नमेंट के राना मशहूद का रोल तो था उसके अंदर.
Yeah, but that's one individual.
Agreed. But I get where you're coming from, and I totally agree with that. The talent is there, but exploration nahi hai, polishing nahi hai, and wo wali.
Maybe inshallah 10 years from now we will have the facilities and we will have the structures to support these people. And I would love to be a part of those structures. In fact, I think our entire team would, because when we won this, it wasn't LUMUN won, LUMS won. It was Pakistan jeet gaya, and that was the entire gist of the win as well. Which is why हम झंडा पकड़ के घर आए कि जीत गए यार.
LUMS का झंडा नहीं, पाकिस्तान का झंडा फेंक गया. ये अच्छा किया था आपने. But coming to the last part, So 3 funny incidents that happened because we have 3 faces right now. And कुछ मुझे लगता है कि बेहतर usually the price of pizza back in near Harvard is around $30 if I'm not wrong. But if there's another story
will
to
elaborate.
Please, my dad will be watching this podcast.
All
Mr.
the more
Jawad Majid, I did not mean to do this. But we were ordering Uber Eats and we were all so hungry that day. And I don't know how it happened, but I just put the credit card details in and we ordered a $60 pizza.
So what was in that pizza basically? What was so
Cheese. Paneer
It
roti.
was cheese pizza.
It was plain cheese pizza.
What was the size of the pizza?
It was
A regular large.
Yeah, but you said had Mahnoor ever been strict?
Yeah.
This was just one night.
What did you do then?
We ate the pizza. We couldn't return it. But after that, Suhaima was not allowed to order the food for the team. We figured it out. The sort of returning speakers were aware of the fact that sometimes you get scammed, and it's okay. It's okay. We love Suhaima regardless.
But no, I guess you perfectly defined it. कि गलतियाँ होती हैं इंसानों से ही होती. तो अनस कोई ऐसा वाक़या आपके लिए which was the funniest one?
मेरे ख्याल से मुझे याद है जब हम न्यूयॉर्क गए थे क्योंकि हमारी वापसी थी न्यूयॉर्क से ही. तो वी वर इन द सबवे और क्या कहते हैं हम पहली बार आई वॉज इन चार्ज एक्चुअली हुबैर वॉज इन चार्ज इन दैट मोमेंट ऑफ टेलिंग अस कि इस सबवे को पकड़ना है लाइन नंबर C एट दिस रूट एट दिस टाइम व्हाटएवर राइट. तो हम ढूंढ रहे थे, हम स्टेशन में बैठे हुए हैं, हमारी ट्रेन हमारी सबवे आ गई और क्या कहते हैं मैं अंदर चला गया और बाकी सब अभी पीछे बैठे हुए हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि हुबैर नीचे देख रहे हैं यार, नीचे देखे ऊपर देखे, नीचे देखे ऊपर देखे. मैं तो अंदर चला गया और इतना रश है कि मैंने उन लोगों को देखा नहीं. मेरी कमर उनकी तरफ थी, मैंने मुड़ के देखा और वो कह रहे हैं आगे तो नहीं. उसी लम्हे दरवाजे बंद हो गए. तो मैं तो
कौन सी इंडियन मूवी थी जिसका डायलॉग मुझे याद आ रहा है?
So
विजुअलाइजेशन.
just if Anas got lost on the subway.
वी डिड नॉट गेट लॉस्ट क्योंकि अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह वहाँ पे हर जगह फ्री वाईफाई होता है और फ़ौरन ही रब्ता कर लिया था और दूसरी ट्रेन भी 2 मिनट बाद आ गई थी. लेकिन बट इन दैट मोमेंट मेरी एंड द फनी पार्ट वाज इन लोगों को कोई दुख कोई गम कोई कुछ नहीं था. हंस रहे थे हंस के बेहाल हो गए थे. वो हंसे जा रहे हैं और मैं बस उनको देख रहा हूँ ये क्या हो ये गलत बात.
really funny.
हम फिर हमने इसको कॉल करना भी just भूल गए. मैं
ये ऐसे कुछ नहीं. सबवे में अंडरग्राउंड सेल्युलर सिग्नल
That's
आते
what we tell you.
अंडरग्राउंड वाईफाई नहीं होता, आपको ऊपर जाना पड़ता है, ऊपर फ्री वाईफाई होता है.
तो 10 minutes later जब इसको कॉल आई तो he was like हाँ मैं तो ठीक ही हूँ, तुम लोग ठीक हो. So yeah, it was.
क्या जवाब देता है यार, क्या हो गया, तुमने मुझे कहाँ छोड़ दिया.
And Manu, the funniest incident which you remember?
No.
No, please, now you have to. अब तो कहना पड़ेगा.
Okay, I will tell a flag story. So basically what happened was when we were walking up to get our awards, we basically would tie the Pakistan flag around like us and we would wear it to go up. Because that's how every country gets up to go get their awards. So Anas and I are like walking up to go get our award because हमारा साथ में आया था. And Anas, instead of wearing it around his hand, was holding it in his hand like barasa. So that पीछे तक नजर आए कि Pakistan has won. And हम लोग तस्वीर लेने के लिए खड़े हुए and the man who was taking the picture goes, your flag's upside down.
ये अंग्रेज
And
ने
like,
बोला
backwards
The entire time Anas was just holding his flag ready to take a picture and it's upside down. And it was
बैकवर्ड. इसका मतलब मेरे पर्सपेक्टिव से सही था लेकिन उसके पर्सपेक्टिव से
नहीं
रिवर्स था.
गलत था. So yeah, and like Anas did like a lot of like really like strangely like funny things that like I would just observe and laugh at because he was like the most entertaining person to just, he was like a cartoon in committee, every night when I needed a break I would just like observe Anas for a
God,
little
Anas,
bit. Yeah,
I was in the committee with
he
him.
was there with me. So there was like this person, he was from India and Anas had become best friends with this person and there was the night of the Pakistan-India match, like Anas, the night before, Anas sat down with his boy, like convincing him why he shouldn't be rooting for like the Indian team and he should be rooting for the Pakistani team to win the cricket match because Anas is Pakistani. So
He was an Indian born in Singapore. तो like थोड़ी कोशिश कर सकता था मैं बेचारे convert.
आंखों में अभी तक दर्द है वो इंडिया में
So
निकाल कर.
towards the end of it, that boy was wearing the Pakistan flag also. Anas, like we have pictures of Anas and that boy. They were like best friends. In my head, like that was
Do
hilarious.
share with us too and we'll definitely put it up. So last one to you guys would be, Suhaima, where do you see yourself after the degree and which profession would you be opting for?
Inshallah, if all goes well, I would really like to be working in the education sector. personally, I really want to do something, especially in Pakistan, and work towards policy, especially reforming the education system in Pakistan. So that's a little ambition of mine.
Anas.
Probably something in the corporate sector, more referring to computer science, something related to that, maybe export oriented.
The CS fella,
And the CS major here.
Yeah, he's our, what do you call it?
Residency, tech support.
I should have
He's
guessed
our
with the
tech support.
glasses in art,
He's
but-
our tech support.
मुझे सुहाइमा से कॉल आई थी 2 दिन पहले, अनस अर्जेंट आई नीड यू। मैं कहता हूँ क्या हो, कह रहे मेरा अलार्म नहीं बज रहा है यार, मैंने 2 क्लासेस मिस कर दी, प्लीज़ मदद कर दो।
So, in the corporate sector it is.
Yes.
And Mahnoor?
Hopefully a journalist.
So, who do you look up to in the Pakistani journalism scene right now?
So I
Or even internationally? Or who do you read?
sometimes Mehdi Hassan, because I do think
Palestinian?
I think it takes a lot to stand up and just say what you will in a country that will just not hear you. And then other than that, I think my biggest inspiration is Plastia. She's a Palestinian journalist who was in Palestine during.
Yeah.
So I really look up to her, and I see her as like an inspiration of what I want to do, which is just tell the truth,
Yeah.
not be afraid of it.
Thank you so much for making the country proud, and thank you so much for taking the time out and taking the time out for World Times International.
Thank you.
These were the faces who made Pakistan proud. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.